Buzz, 1250 WTMA. Total weather.
Thank you, Bill. 79 in Hayes at street level. I'm Fred Storey, 1250. You don't know what it means, but I'm Fred Storey, 1250 TMA Total News. Depend on it.
And what does that mean?
What? Street level? Guess it's cooler at street than at building level.
I don't know. WTMA used to say that back in the 60s. Street level degrees, was one thing, and it was something else, I guess, up in the TMA studios on the second floor of the Dock Street Theater. I'm John Quincy, producer of the Morning Buzz, with some special guests here as we celebrate our 70th birthday today. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, to introduce them all, it is the one and only former WTMA newsman and talk show host. It is Bill Sharpe. Hey, Bill.
Oh, it's great to be with you, John. Everybody, good to have you with us. It's quite an honor to be invited to celebrate the 70th birthday today of the mighty WTMA. And I know many of you grew up listening to the WTMA station as I did as a kid in the 60s.
Everybody did.
Everybody did. And in case you don't recognize those dulcet tones, that's Gery London. Booby Nash is here. I want to thank Terry Allen for dropping by. Reverend John Burwell is on the phone. And we're joined now by Bill Quinn. Bill, it's good to have you with us. Tell me some of your memories. You were here in the 80s.
That's right. Well, we were on Orange Grove Road, in fact. By the way, I want to mention one thing. Booby Nash is the one I grew up on radio. That's how I decided to get involved in this business early in the morning.
Anybody else old here somewhere?
I was making some brown hair. You're going to have a gray beard, but it's really good to be back.
It's good to have you. Bill came into the studio a minute ago, folks, and he said, what happened to Booby? He used to have brown hair. And I said, well...
And lots more of it.
The same thing. Well, it had more of it, too. The same thing that happens to all of us as we get older. My hair used to be brown, too.
That's
Bill,
true. I remember.
Now, when you were working here in the 80s, what was it like, Bill Quinn?
I must tell you, it was a fabulous station. In fact, I heard you guys mention earlier about people going on to the majors. In fact, that's what happened to me when I left Philadelphia. I left Charleston. Got a phone call saying, you belong in Philadelphia. I said, of course I do. Of course I do. We were on Orange Grove Road, and we go outside by the tower and get some sunshine and come back in and have a good time on WTMA. It was the station in Charleston.
You went from here
to Philadelphia,
Orange Grove Road, west of the Ashley, all the way to the city of brotherly love.
And became one of the hottest disc jockeys up there, too.
Wow.
Thanks to TMA, the training I got here. It was really great being here.
Well,
and I really wanted to say one more time, I did grow up on Booby Nash, which was one of my biggest. I was his biggest fan, I would suspect, but I didn't expect the white hair.
We all grew up with the big boob,
right.
In a matter of speaking.
Bury me somewhere, will you?
Yeah.
At the end of Orange Grove Road.
Right.
That's Gery London with us, too. We're going to take some calls. My goodness, look at those lines lighting up. Now, let's see who's been here the longest. I believe that's Ken. Ken, how are you? Bill Sharpe from Live 5 at WTMA. What memories do you have that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, about 1975, I was in the Navy and assigned out of Mayport. And I was on an aircraft carrier. We'd had a particularly long med cruise, about 10 months, real grueling. And I don't know exactly where we were, but I don't know how much of a signal y'all pop out to the ocean. But there was one night we were getting close to getting back into Mayport, and all of a sudden I hear the big boob on WTMA, and I thought, home.
You thought you felt right at home again.
Right. Nobody was bigger than Booby Nash. He was the god of the radio, and it was real comforting to hear him after a long, like I say, 10-month med cruise that was only supposed to be 6 months.
Bless you, my son.
And all of a sudden, there's the big boob.
The big boob. You know, I'm glad listening to the boob was comforting for you, because let me tell you, when I listened to him, it was anything but comforting. It was entertaining and fun, and he'd have me laughing so hard. In fact, Boob, I got to tell you a quick story here.
Okay.
I was listening to you a while back with Richard Todd about a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. Just wonderful radio.
Great show.
It was a great show, wasn't it? And I was laughing so hard, I cut myself shaving. And it took me 3 days before my legs stopped bleeding. It was that bad. It really was. And,
it's Man's Day today.
It's Man's Day today. Gery London, it is Man's Day today. I just thought I'd remind you of that.
But I got to tell you, Bill, that's the way you and I were when we were working together at TMA. When we would meet in the hallway and that, there was joke after joke after joke. You missed your calling by going into news.
And you missed your calling, too.
You could have been a sit-down comedian.
I certainly hope so. And or stand-up comedian, either one. And you told me I got to tell you, Booby told me my first off-color joke, which will not be repeated here on the air. And I thought that was the funniest thing back then, Boob. God knows why, but I did.
Well,
here I was, a sheltered 18, that's what I was, sort of 18-year-old kid. Still am a sheltered 58-year-old kid. That's right. And Booby calls in and tells me this disgusting joke that was so funny. I'm still laughing about it today, Boog. You know that?
Yeah. Well, we used the same line. Yeah, it's a great line. We ought to do it someday.
No, well, we ought to do it someday. Our last day.
Yes.
Because it will be our last day on the air. That's right. Let me go back to the phones here. Bill, you hanging with us, man?
I'm with you. I'm
Bill
right
Quinn
here.
is with us. We've got Gery London. Reverend Burwell, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Well, that's good. Did Booby ever tell you any dirty jokes?
Golly.
Golly. That's as close to cussing as an Episcopal priest will ever get.
Stop
Golly.
You think that people who listen to me on the radio, I never told an off-color joke.
No, you didn't.
They were right on target.
That's right.
Lightning is going to strike.
Rodney, you've been holding on for a good length of time. Thanks so much. Share us some memories that you have of WTMA, Rodney.
Yes, Bill. Want to say hello to everybody out there.
Everybody say hi to Rodney.
Hi,
Rodney.
Thank you very much.
Rodney, hold on just a second. I got to say goodbye to Chipster from Channel 5, where I work, and the great Bill Burr. Billy Burr, good to see you. They came in to do some taping here. So, Chips, thank you so much. We call him the Chipster, and Billy Burr, thanks again. Go ahead, Rodney. I'm sorry, interrupted you.
Okay, I forgive you. Hey, the late DJ Ron Phelps.
You remember Ron Phelps?
Oh, sure.
And,
Ron and I were close.
He came to Lamb's Elementary School when we were there back in the 60s, probably 1967, and brought his 45 record player and a stack of 45s and sat out there by the oak tree and played records for us for a couple hours, and I'll never forget that. And I saw him again at the Charlestown Landing opening on that 98-degree day, July 4th, 1970, when it was a struggle to get through the day, but we made it. It was so hot. And I saw him there with his family, wife, and kids, and I just wanted to bring his name up because he was a good DJ, and you don't hear too much about him. But Ron, God bless you.
Well, he was terrific. Booby, thanks so much for calling, by the way, Rodney, and sharing that with us. So you want to talk about Ron Phelps? Booby,
Yeah,
you remember him?
Oh, sure. Ron and I were close. His wife, Judy. Once again, we were like family, and I was shocked when I heard that he had walked into a hospital and passed away. He actually showed up at a hospital. He had some pains in his chest, and he didn't make it. I was completely shocked. Not only was he a good disc jockey, but what an honest guy.
Nice guy. He was a nice guy. Billy's been holding on for a while from James Island. Billy, how are you? Share some WTMA memories with us, if you would.
Hey, this is Billy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Y'all's news department saved me. We were going to have to listen to Elevator on the trip, and TMA was on there, and it was like, goodness gracious, how did this happen? It was like the traffic reporting was a thing that kept the over 50 set turned to you.
When was this, Billy?
This is probably late 60s. And then
Right.
the other thing, talking about the ships and planes and stuff, I used to go fishing, and a fella had lower MC, every electronic device known to man, never turned them on. He'd pick up his 1967 radio, spin around until he lost y'all's signal, throw his hand over his shoulder and say, go that way.
I'll be darned.
So if I had a nickel for every airplane and every ship and navigated off of you guys,
You'd be a rich man today, Billy.
Well, actually, Bill, we were called Tiger Beacon back then. You know, Tiger Radio, and we were Tiger Beacon to get us to get the airplanes into the airport.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's John Burwell, Billy, you're talking to, the Reverend John Burwell.
Tiger Beacon.
Absolutely.
Tiger Beacon. Go ahead, Billy.
And the old joke was, if you ever went on to a Soviet trawler out there, they probably tuned into y'all too.
Well, they tuned in, we think, to listen to learn English from, God help them all, the great Boo, the big Boo. Billy, thanks so much. Let's go to Lee on Folly Beach.